All right, and we are live on Facebook. Live on Facebook. This will be live on YouTube. This will be on my podcast. This videos go everywhere. That's the power of the digital economy. All right, let's go ahead and get started. All right. What's up, Disrupt Nation? What's going on, guys? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Quarantine Radio. I want to give a shout out to everybody here on time. Brian, Manuel, Santiago, Eddie, Dave, Brian, Jennifer, Danny. Cool. So this week we've had a couple of really great guests. Shout out to David Meltzer, who we had on yesterday. He spoke about how he lost $100 million in the last recession. And the interesting thing about that is, to have 100 million, you have to lose 100 million, you have to have 100 million. So he shared that story. We also had my man Apple Cider. He shared the success he's had with the Young Smart Money podcast, and how he's used that to build a company, build a brand, and work with all these top influencers and create an incredible thing. And the kid's only 21 years old. I would love to see where he's going to be in 10 years. We also have my man Lewis. He's a freaking COVID-19 survivor. So everything from financial success to health success we've had on. And I want to give a shout out to everybody who's been tuning in faithfully. Like I said, Brian is definitely faithful. Jennifer, Santiago, and everyone else. And thank you guys for also hopping on, asking questions, being active, and asking your questions live. It's been really incredible. So I wanted to share, I feel like right now in these times of uncertainty, social media is definitely taking over. And if you're not on social media, if you don't have a podcast, if you don't have a brand, YouTube channel, it's whatever, you choose a platform. But if you don't have a platform, you're going to be getting left behind. So today I wanted to share with you guys some tips and some strategies of how to build your personal brand in 2020 and beyond. Because honestly, if you're not building an audience, it doesn't really matter what you're doing. You could be in fitness, you could be in real estate, you could be literally in any industry. If you're not building a brand in these times, then you're going to get left behind. And like I said yesterday, I'm super pumped for where we are because it's amazing. We have these amazing opportunities. We have opportunities like we've never seen before. But at the same time, I'm really worried for a lot of people, because if they don't take advantage of these opportunities now, you're going to be kicking yourself 6 months from now, a year from now, 3 years from now, when the opportunities disappear. So, number one, how to build your brand and your audience and your influence in 2020 is to have a clear message. So many influencers that I see, they're so focused, or people that are trying to get into social media, they're so focused on the metrics. They're so focused on, the likes and followers and things of that nature. And while those things are great, you really want to focus on your message. I have worked with clients who they only had 1,000 followers, right? But they had a lot of influence over those followers, and they were able to make $100,000 or more in 30 days from focusing on providing value to the audience that they do have. And if you do the math, 1,000 followers might not sound like a lot to some people, and it might sound like a lot to other people, depending on where you are. But if you have 1,000 people in a room, if you did an event and there was 1,000 people live watching you, it's a lot of people. And if 1,000 people give you $1,000, and that's $1 million overnight, I said that in Entrepreneur Magazine. So you don't need 1 million followers to make $1 million. You don't need a lot of likes, a lot of engagement. You really don't even need a lot of videos. If you have a few videos, but they're tailored to what it is you're selling, your product, your service, who you are, that could be a lot more effective than, let's say, an Instagram comedy account. You see a lot of these meme pages and a lot of these skit pages. They do these skits and these pranks, and they might have a lot of followers, right? Or some of the Instagram vixens, right? They have a lot of followers, but it's not targeted. There's no clear message. There's no real reason people are following them except just out of pure curiosity, out of pure entertainment. So having a clear message, having a niche following, if you're a real estate agent and all your followers are other real estate agents, mortgage brokers, home buyers, people that are in that niche, and people know why they're following you, right? They're not just following you for a pretty face. They're not just following you for some quick entertainment. They're actually following you for a clear reason. That is the way to establish the leadership. That is the way to generate more leads. That is the way to have messaging that's consistent, that allows you to then convert those followers into sales. Because if you have a bunch of followers but you're not converting them into sales, you're not really doing anything. And just by a show of hands, before I move on, who here is thinking about maybe starting a podcast, maybe starting a YouTube series? I've seen a lot of the Instagram live series that have been going well. If anyone has been thinking about doing that, yeah, definitely raise your hand or drop a comment or a question. And as I go through these, if you have comments or questions, let me know, and I'll bring everybody on at the end. Okay, so the next tip is to post regularly. So it doesn't matter what platform you're on. You want to make sure that you're posting regularly, you're posting consistently. I would say once a day is a good rule of thumb. And if you're on Instagram stories, I would say at least minimum is 3 times a day. Technically every hour, if you're posting every hour on Instagram stories, that's like really, really good. But when you're first getting started, at a minimum 3 times a day, once in the morning, once in the afternoon, once in the evening. And to kind of think about it almost like your meals of the day. So if you post once in the morning, either before or after breakfast, once in the afternoon during lunch, and once in the evening, that's a good rule of thumb for stories because that's a very aggressive platform. But a minimum of once a day. Number 3 is to reuse old content. So I do this all the time. You have a post that you may have posted 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago. I'm constantly taking old content, things that I've done before, and recycling them. Obviously, you want to be aware of the times, right? So you might not want to post something that's irrelevant, but for the most part, you can be reusing old content, taking old clips, old podcasts, old recordings, and reusing them. Another great tip with recycling old content is it doesn't have to be your content. You can go into a search engine. One of the things that's really popular is infographics. And whatever your niche is, you type in the word. So if it's marketing, infographic. You type in real estate, infographic. And you'll find these really cool graphics that are usually used in magazines, and these are things that you can repurpose on your Facebook page, your Instagram, LinkedIn, etc. And they also get a lot of shares because it gives you a lot of data and it's very graphic and visual. The next one is to engage with a wider community. So there are already a lot of communities out there, subreddits, forums, WhatsApp groups, Telegram groups. I was speaking about this the other day. Where people are already talking about your topic. You can go into Facebook groups, you can go into Telegram groups, and then there are also directories where you can find really big Telegram groups. So you might say, oh, I'm not in any WhatsApp groups. I'm only in the Disrupt group, right? Obviously, because you're here. But you can search those out. So join Facebook groups for, first of all, your location, right? So I'm in a bunch of Puerto Rico-centric Facebook groups. Why? Because I want to engage with people in my local community. But there are actually, if you search for directories, there's a Telegram directory. There's numerous ones. Go into Google, Telegram directory, WhatsApp group directory, Slack group directory, Facebook group directory. And you'll be able to find these communities where your audiences are already hanging out, the people that you want to interact with, and go in, provide value, and share links to what you're doing. If you have a podcast, share it there. If you have an infographic or something, share it there. You can also do this really well with Facebook. If you have a Facebook video that's in your own Facebook page or your own Facebook community, you can share it into another community, and it helps them go viral. Network with similarly sized influencers. So networking is the number one growth hack. And I would say network with similarly sized influencers and people with a little bit more influence than you. right? So if you are just starting out and you have 500 followers, you're probably not going to want to go and try to network with someone with 1 million followers. Maybe you could, but in general, you're going to want to focus on, if you're doing Instagram lives, that's been really, really big, really, really taking off, where 2 or 3 influencers will get together and they'll do a live together. Don't go and approach, Beyonce or Kim Kardashian and try to do an Instagram live with them. Find people that are in your similar size, maybe a little bit more, right? So if you were around the 1,000 follower mark, do it live with someone with 5,000 or 3,000 followers, right? Don't go and try to like kind of overshoot. But how can you collaborate with smaller influencers? And again, look at the engagement, because sometimes someone with 5,000 followers might be way more influential than someone with a lot of followers, especially if it's in a niche, right? So if you're a real estate agent and you do a live with a mortgage broker and you guys are both in a live, that audience might be way more valuable to you than, like I said, a meme account, a comedy account that has all this other reach. Think hard about sponsors, right? So we spoke about this on the last episode when I interviewed Apple Kreider. People are looking, oh, I'm starting a podcast right away, let me monetize it. How do I monetize my podcast right away? Well, from the door, you can pick up quote unquote sponsors that you don't necessarily have to know, you don't necessarily have to have a partnership with. So Amazon has a program called Amazon Associates. So you can go sign up for Amazon Associates. It's completely free. And any product that you want to promote on Amazon, including their audiobook platform, Audible, you can become a sponsor for. They can sponsor it by you having a special link. So now in your podcast, you can say, hey, this podcast is brought to you by Audible. It's the best place to get books. And if you go to shopmagazine.com/Audible, boom, you can get the books. We just started our book club. Same exact idea, the shopmagazine.com/books. There's a bunch of books there. If you use the link and you buy it, it helps support our channel, it helps support our podcast, and we get a very small percentage. Is it gonna make me a millionaire overnight? No, but all these things do add up, and it also gives you credibility when people are listening to your podcast. They're like, oh wow, it's sponsored by Uber. Oh wow, it's sponsored by Cash App, right? Cash App has that program where you get $5 when your friends sign up. So you can take that link and you put it there. And then the other kind of trick with those links is some of those links are ugly, right? The Amazon Associate link for you to share, it's really long and complicated. So don't make it complicated for people. Make a separate page, and then on that page, link out to the product. So that's why we created the shopmagazine.com/books. Really, really simple. All they have to remember is the word books, and they put that in. And then once they put that in, it populates with all the books. The links are already there. You click on the books, we get a small percentage of the book sale. I think it's small, maybe 10%. So it's only a few dollars. But the point of the matter is I'm providing value because those are real books that I actually read. It's not just random books. Every single book that's in there is a book that I actually read, that I've actually read. They're in my collection. The things that I endorse that I think will actually help people, things like the 48 Laws of Power, things like Gary Vaynerchuk's Crushing It. So it's books that I really like, and I'm making it super easy for people. So again, get creative with sponsorship. It doesn't have to be someone giving you $1 million check. In the beginning, there's affiliate programs that you can get into. Be a role model. So this is so important. You want to position yourself as someone that people look up to. You want to really craft your image. Don't be afraid to be a little bit vulnerable. Show your human side. Be able to make mistakes in front of your audience. Share your mistakes with your audience, right? My wife, she does stock trading. She shares losses. If a stock goes down, she'll share that with her audience and say, hey, listen, not only does she share her wins, but she shares that when she has vulnerabilities. She shares that. So being a role model is not being perfect. A lot of people think that. But be someone that people can look up to. They want to see your rags to riches story. How did you go from getting started, from not being an expert to becoming an expert? Because they want to be able to follow in your footsteps. So many people, when they're building a personal brand, they think that they need to be perfect. And that's not relatable. People can't relate to you if you're trying to be this perfect level of perfection. They really want a guide. So when people are looking for who to follow online, who to trust. It doesn't matter what industry that they're in. They really want you to not be Luke Skywalker. They want you to be Yoda. They don't want you to necessarily be Michael Jordan. They want you to be Michael Jordan's coach. You want to be the guide, the person that can help. Say, hey, listen, I've been in your shoes. I've been where you were before. I started at zero. I started at nothing. And now here's what I've learned. And now you don't have to do it the hard way. You can actually skip a few steps by learning from me. So don't be scared to show your human side. Understand your value proposition. So understand the value proposition, the emotional hook of why people want to follow you. What are they going to gain from their content, from your content? Understand and learn how to communicate this visually. So visual is everything. Video is everything. If you're creating content, you have to speak to the needs of the other person. So if you're going to teach affiliate marketing, you're going to want to lead with, I'm going to show you how to make $100 in 20 minutes. Because I'm talking about the $100 that the other person is going to make. So I know, oh, wow, if I watch this video that's 5 minutes and then I invest another 20 minutes, I'm going to gain $100. Or you want to title the video, if you're a relationship coach, you're going to want to title the video, How to Have a Marriage That Lasts Forever, because I'm talking to what the person wants, what's in it for them. Now, in that video, there might be a strategy for having a long marriage that says to wear black shirts, wearing black shirts statistically. But if you name the video How to Wear Black Shirts, no one's going to want to watch that video. You need to speak to what the result is that the other person wants. So, hey, how to have a marriage that lasts forever, how to have an income that lasts forever, how to make money in your sleep. You're speaking to the thing that the person wants. Now, maybe how to make money in your sleep is investing in mutual funds and all these other things, but that's not what the person wants. So you need to make sure that you lead with your value proposition. Hone in on your niche. So you want to aim for a big and popular niche, yes, but you also want to make sure that you have your own corner in the marketplace, and target it to specific people so that you can avoid major competition. So I'll give you an example. Again, I'll use myself and then I'll use my wife as two examples because we both build brands. So my wife, her target market is Latina women. It's not just people speaking Spanish, although that's part of it. Part of it is speaking Spanish, but she hyper focused even more because there's tons of people that make content in Spanish. You can watch Telemundo, you can watch Univision. There's a million Spanish influencers out there, but no, she's targeted a very specific niche. It's Latina women who want to learn investing, right? So there's so many hyper niches in there. She could have just targeted investing, but no, she targeted Latina women and investing. It's 3 niches. With me, again, I'm targeting Latin American entrepreneurs in Puerto Rico. So now, does that mean that my wife doesn't sell to men? Not true. We had someone join our platinum program today who was a Latin man, and he was actually French and Latin and all these other things. Same thing with me. We have white people that come to our events, that speak at our events, that attend. That so it's not that your niche needs to be strict, but know who you're talking to and try to find your own corner, right? There's a certain type of person that tunes into Disrupt. There's a certain type of person that tunes into my brand. My brand is not very polished. I barely wear collar shirts. I wear them once in a while. Usually you see me in a Disrupt t-shirt because that's my brand. You follow someone like Dan Locke or who else is like a suit guy? Grant Cardone. Grant Cardone's a suit guy. Like most of his content, he's wearing a suit because that's his brand. He's more of like the sales guy, the car salesman, the real estate guy. That's his brand, right? So if you're a real estate person, great, but now focus on that niche and maybe not just real estate. It's too broad. Grant Cardone, for example, focus on real estate investors, people that want to 10x their income with real estate, which right now, rest in peace to all my real estate investors. I know it's rough out there, but focus on a niche. Avoid serious controversy. This can definitely get you in trouble. And a lot of times this can happen uh, unintentionally. So the three things that I learned that you want to avoid is religion, politics, and sex. Those are the three things that in this world will get you in a shit ton of trouble. Politics, for example, it doesn't matter who you support. If you support a Democrat, half the country will hate you. If you support Republicans, half the country will hate you. Same thing with religion. If you're a Catholic, the Christians will hate you. If you're a Christian, the Muslims will hate you. If you're a Muslim, the Christians will say something and the Jews will say something. There's those topics, they're so controversial that there's no way to win. So if you look at really smart people, people like Mark Cuban, who's been in the news a lot lately, multimillionaire, I think he's a billionaire now, investor, widely successful, has a really great brand. He is not a heavy Democrat or a heavy Republican. They ask him these questions all the time. They're always trying to get him to go against Trump or whatever narrative that they try to concoct. And he's very, very neutral. No, I'm not really a Democrat, not really a Republican. You know, I share some ideas on both sides, right? But you'll see they play the middle very carefully because these scandals, these Me Too, these controversies can get you in a lot of trouble. It can cost you sponsorship money. It can cost you partnerships. Like literally overnight, if you've watched the media over the last 20 years, it can really destroy your brand. So the three things to avoid as far as controversies is sex scandals, religion, and politics. If you keep those three things out of your messaging, you're going to be better off because there's no winning there. Next, don't try to appeal to everyone. So, so that being said, it's actually a little bit of the opposite of the last tip. So you want to avoid controversy, but you also want to stir up a little bit of drama, right? You don't necessarily want to appeal to every single person. Again, you don't want to be the meme page. There's tons of meme pages out there. I know people that own these pages. They don't make money. They have 10 million fucking followers and they're trying to charge $50 for a shout out because those pages don't make money. The riches are in the niches. So don't try to appeal to everyone. It's okay if you alienate people. And I'll bring it to politics a little bit and go against my own advice here. If you look at Trump, he wasn't scared to kind of alienate some people so that he could find his people. And he's arguably one of the most successful marketing politicians because he was able to like never be a politician and do what the fuck he's done. So however you feel about him, he didn't care if he was pissing people off. So don't try to appeal to everyone. Okay, you have to be able to kind of it's a marketing strategy. It's actually called us versus them. So you want to figure out who's your us, that's your niche, and then who are you going against? Every great leader, every great movement, they go against someone. People want to feel like they're part of a movement. Look at Bernie Sanders. He's against the millionaires and the billionaires. And that's his shtick. It's us versus them. He doesn't care. Bernie Sanders doesn't care if he pisses off rich people because he is focused on only appealing to a certain demographic. And then the people that coalesce around Bernie, they're super fans. They fucking love him because they're like, yeah, it's us versus them. So don't be scared about trying to appeal to everyone. If you want an engaged audience of super fans who will do anything that you say, you have to be willing to kind of lose some, not even fans, but maybe piss a few people off and lose some followers in order to turn the followers that you do have into hyper fans. Next is to hire the services of big influencers. So if you want a big influencer to reply to your emails, you want them to reply to to your DMs, hire them as a consultant. Don't be scared to pay an influencer to do a collaboration with you. A lot of these guys, they're big money people, depending on who you want to deal with. And as soon as you put money into an equation, people will become your friend, okay? There's a misconception right here. I don't know, growing up, did anyone hear that money is evil? Did anyone have any of that in their DNA? Money is not evil. Money creates opportunity. Money will help you feed your family. Money will help you do philanthropic work. Like David Meltzer said yesterday on the call, the more money that you have, the more money that you have to help people, the more lives that you can change. So once you put money into an equation, if you want to deal with a big influencer and you say, hey, listen, I'm going to hire you for your time. John Somnes said this too. He was one of the guests last week. I'll hire the biggest influencer in the world because I want to learn from them, right? I want to collaborate with them. I could send them a DM and ask for free advice, but if I send them a DM and say, hey, listen, I'd love to hire you for your time, even if they don't offer consulting services, you can send them a DM and say, hey, listen, I want to learn from you, or I want to do a collaboration. I want to do an Instagram live with you. I'll pay you $500 an hour. I'll pay you $1,000 an hour. You're much more likely to get a reply. You're much more likely to create a collaboration, create a network, and create a partnership. And the people who are the friends who are my friends in my life, they're people that help me make money. If you're helping me make money, you're helping me thrive, you're helping me succeed, you're helping me build my family, build my legacy, then you're my best freaking friend. And the people that are only takers, that all they do is take, those are the people that I'm going to limit my connections with. The same thing happens for bigger influencers all around the world. So don't be scared to hire a big influencer if you want to do a collaboration. Name dropping. So name dropping is key. So now after you've worked with all these people, right? People have seen that I've worked with Grant Cardone. People have seen that I've worked with Ty Lopez. Don't be scared to name drop them. So now when I approach guests, I usually don't pay guests to come on my show. I usually don't pay speakers to come to my events, but I will name drop and I will use the leverage and the influence of my past and previous guests in order to get new guests to come on. So, when I emailed David Meltzer, I mentioned, hey, I've worked with Grant Cardone, Ty Lopez, Gerard Adams, John Malott, and also look for the common influence that you have in common. So with David Meltzer, I'm good friends with Hugo Sanchez, and that's actually how we originally met. We met at this Forbes event. And then we attended a few other events, but it was through Hugo Sanchez, who's his business partner. So even though Hugo Sanchez isn't like an internet celebrity, he does have a lot of influence in David's life because David is business partners with him on an app. So I was able to leverage that relationship. So a lot of times name dropping, it's not only name dropping big influencers, but name dropping the people that have influence over the person that you want to have influence on. And Instagram is a great platform because it shows you that in black and white. So look at who do you know that person follows? Who are the mutual connections between you? And that's a great way to kind of break the ice. And then posting about them. Hey, you have to share. If people, I'm going to share David Meltzer's clips today. I'm going to share some more of them. Josh Snow's clips. Now, if someone that follows Josh Snow and they're aware of him, they come to my page and say, oh, this guy knows Josh Snow. He knows Grant Cardone. He knows David. I would love to do his podcast. But you have to post that social proof. Now, be careful. Don't overestimate or overstate your collaboration. I usually just say, hey, I've worked with, right? That's usually enough. Next, which this doesn't apply to coronavirus, but networking in person is key. Going to in-person events. It's, what Disrupt was really founded on was these in-person masterminds where you connect with people one-on-one. It's actually a lot easier sometimes to get in the same room with someone and get their attention. So the same thing with David Meltzer. I should post the selfie of me and David when I first met him. I met him at this private Forbes event that I got a ticket to. And you know what? When I send him a DM on my phone, I may or may not get his attention. It might go to there's that other box, right? But when I see him in real life, I can run up to him and shake his hand. And when I shake his hand, the dynamic changes, right? Now I'm not just a number. I'm not just another email in his inbox. I'm a real person that's shaking his hand and making a connection. So I can't wait for this quarantine to be over, but don't underestimate the power of in-person networking. Number 15 is to respond to all comments. So this is freaking key. When people are commenting on your posts, the number one way to keep your audience engaged, keep them feeling loved and appreciated, make them feel a real connection to you, is at a bare minimum, like all the comments. So at a bare minimum, they'll get a second notification. The notification has your face on it, right? More people see your face for every, I believe this statistic is for every 1 hour that someone watches your videos and sees your face, they feel comfortable to invest up to $1,000 in you and your brand. So it doesn't mean 100% they're going to give you $1,000, but it's $1,000 per hour. So if you want to sell a car, that's why sometimes selling a car, there's multiple meanings involved. You want to sell a big corporate deal, right? There's multiple meanings involved because they have to see you more than once. So by you pressing the like button, it takes you 1 second, pressing the like button and maybe replying with an emoji or a comment saying thank you, right? Replying to those comments, you're going to be top of mind to your followers and the people in your online community. And you're going to build better relationships, more long-lasting relationships, and opening up the lines of communication for future sales. Have a professional website. Oh my God, this is key. So, and I would take it a step further and ask you to Google yourself. I actually posted this about an hour ago. Google yourself. If I Google your name, your podcast, your brand, your company, what comes up? And that's one of the most important reasons to have a website, because you can actually have the website be the first thing that comes up, and then that website can control the narrative. You can put the interviews that you've done. You can put the influencers that you've worked with. You can put the press and the media and the publications where you've been featured. And if you haven't been featured on any, shameless plug, Press Accelerator, let us know. I'd love to help you guys get on Forbes and all these cool publications. But you know, having your own website, it lets you control the narrative about who you are and what you do. And it also is essentially the new business card. People ask you, hey, what do you do? I want to learn more about you, X, Y, and Z. You can direct them to your website, and that can be the anchor for you as a creator. Number one is to utilize lives and utilize stories. So give people a peek behind the curtain. My wife recently did a Instagram story series in the morning, and she showed her workout routine and the smoothie that she makes in the morning and a bunch of like kind of personal things. And the thing is, for some people that might sound like business as usual, for some influencers and things of that nature. She never shares that stuff. She is very business professional. She focuses on business, investing, the stock market. She does not share those parts of her life. Well, she shared those parts of her life. It was some of the most engaging content that she had in months, because people want to see behind the curtain. They want to feel like they're a part of all areas of your life, not just your professional areas. So if you're a real estate agent, especially right now, you're in quarantine, you give yourself a bad haircut, maybe show that. Hey, listen, guys, I actually did that recently. I gave myself a haircut. I don't think it's that bad. And I showed it, and I did a little poll on Instagram, and I said, hey guys, I just had to give myself a haircut because I'm on quarantine right now. What do you guys think of my haircut? And I actually had my barber, my old barber from before I moved to Puerto Rico, reply and say, hey, whenever you're off quarantine, let me know, and don't quit your day job. I'll help you out. So I reposted him. He replied me that privately. I reposted him. He reposted me, and then he's doing a contest now, where you send him your fucked up home quarantine barber pricks, and you get entered to win a free haircut, right? So he's staying top of mind with his customers. I got a shout out from his account, which gives me more followers, me more awareness, right? So really give people, be authentic and share things. Those are the interruptions that you're going to cause in people's lives, that is going to make them become more than just audience members. Guys, is this stuff making sense? Is it sticking in? Is it valuable? Please let me know what you think in the comments. And then the next one is live video. Live video is crazy. It is so much more engaging. You feel so much more connected when you know the person on the other end is live. So, and the best thing about that with podcasts is that when you're live, there's no do-over. There's no double takes. So when you're live, it's actually a great way if you're new and if you're shy to get out of your shell, because you press record and that's it. You're live. It's time to do or die. It's like being on a bike. You have to pedal. So going live is a great way and a very unscripted way to start creating content. Pick one social network to focus on and double down on it. This is freaking huge. So many people that get on, and I really hate fucking Gary Vee for this, because Gary Vee is always like, oh, you need to be everywhere. You need to be on fucking TikTok and LinkedIn, and you need to be on fucking Snapchat. I'm sorry. I love Gary. I love his content. I disagree. If you're new and you're getting started, focus on one or two platforms and double down. Focus on where's your audience. If you're building a business audience, why the fuck are you on TikTok? This does not make any sense. If you're a real estate agent, why are you on TikTok? I'm sorry. I disagree with Gary Vaynerchuk. You don't need to be on TikTok if you're a real estate agent. You should be on LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is a great place to be. You should be on Instagram. It's a great place to be. But really, especially if you're a solopreneur, if you're Gary Vee has a freaking team of 15, 20, 30 people that follow him around, make content for him, all this crazy stuff. If you're a one-person shop, or maybe it's you and one consultant that you hired, you should really focus on one platform. And if you master one platform, it's so much more valuable than having your audience spread out everywhere. If you have a huge YouTube channel, 1 million followers on YouTube, and you really focus on dominating YouTube, that's key. That's powerful. People are going to want to connect with you, and then out of curiosity, because you're killing it on YouTube so much, out of curiosity, people will go and follow your Instagram, right? And maybe you don't post on Instagram as often, but people are going to want to go and follow because you dominate, right? And that I see that with a lot of YouTubers. A lot of YouTubers might have 1 million followers on YouTube, and they'll still have 100,000 or more on Instagram, because once you have an audience and you've dominated a platform, you'll be able to take that influence and then share it in other places. He's saying even one platform alone can be overwhelming. Yeah, I think it's about finding a flow, right? Systemizing your content and really finding a flow and getting into consistency. Santiago said, solid information, Tony. Thank you for sharing your day with us. Yeah, thank you, man. But yeah, pick one platform and double down on it. But also be everywhere. So there's strategies, there's apps that you can use, things like Buffer, where you can take the content from YouTube, for example, and you can still post it on Instagram. You can take the content from YouTube, automatically tweet it out. So you should have platforms established, but how can you set up automation so that you can kind of be everywhere, but focus on one major platform that you want to dominate, and focus on it based on your niche. Where are people hanging out? And have something unique to say. So again, this kind of goes back to the us versus them. This kind of goes back to sort of being controversial, right? You need to know your subject inside and out and contribute genuinely new interests, new points of view. So a lot of people that I know are watching this live right now, they may just be getting started and they might not even know. Like one of the guests just said, you know, even one platform can be overwhelming. If you don't know where to get started, what are the things that you do anyway? What are the TV shows that you do anyway? What are the games that you like to play anyway? What are the things that interest you anyway? Take your passion and turn it into your message. Take your pain and turn it into your message. My good friend Peter, he has a podcast about alcohol addiction, and he is a recovering alcoholic. Now, on his podcast, he interviewed me. I'm not an alcoholic. So it's not that he's completely locked into it, but that's the theme of his podcast, and he shares the pain that he went through, right? Take your pain, take your passion, and turn it into your message. So are you guys pumped? Are you guys ready to start a podcast, start a brand, get started creating content? This is the golden opportunity. Like, if you are not taking action now, you're going to regret it. Please listen to me. You need to start a podcast, a show, a social media presence. You need to start creating content, creating awareness, and building your community. So if you guys are ready to start a show, start a podcast, I created a free guide to making money with podcasting. I'm going to go ahead and share it. So it's a free guide. It's called Podcast Profits, and it's completely free. And it's going to go through how can you monetize this brand, this podcast, this Instagram live series, whatever it is that you're doing. How can you take that and then monetize it? So it's completely free. If you want to grab it, you can head on over to podcastinfluencersecrets.com. I'll also drop the link in the WhatsApp so that everybody can grab it. But please take this opportunity. Like, I wish I started my podcast 12 years ago. Like, as soon as Apple introduced and invented podcasts on here, or even before that on freaking the iPod, I wish I would have started my podcast then. So the best time to start a podcast was 10 years ago, but the second best time is now. So please take action. Does anyone have any questions? Anyone is like maybe on the verge, they're like about to start their podcast, about to start their show, but they feel like they're stuck in any way. I know Brian started a show recently on Instagram. A lot of people I've seen have started their shows on Instagram, and I think that's great. It's a great way to really get started. Jennifer, do you want to come on? There's 3 of you. Can you raise the hand? If you guys want to get on, just click raise your hand, and I'll make sure to do that. And someone's asking for the podcast website. I'll drop that link right now. Yeah, so I just dropped the link. I'll also drop the link in the, here is the link to the free podcast profit ebook. Cool. So yeah, you give me your name, your email address, and then you'll get a copy of the book emailed to you. And I think it lets you download it right there. And then it'll give you an opportunity to learn more about our podcast mentoring program, where I work with you one-on-one for 3 months, and I help you launch your show. And it'll give you an opportunity to purchase that program if you want to work with us. Brian, all right, oh no, Jennifer was first, and then Brian, I'll bring you in next. What do you guys think of the Matrix background? So I didn't mention it. It's like the elephant in the room. Jennifer, hey, you're on Quarantine Radio. Just make sure you unmute yourself. And you can start your video, or you don't have to start the video. I mean, I think it's good to say hello, but leave that up to you. Jennifer, you're on the air. Hey, Jennifer, can you hear me? Okay, I'm gonna bring in Brian, and then Jennifer, if you want to get back on, you let me know. Hey, Brian, you're on the air.
Yo.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, what's happening, brother? How you doing?
Great, brother. How are you?
Doing well, man. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how to bring my podcast over to iTunes, to be honest with you, bro. I've been doing it on Instagram. I've been putting it up on Instagram, but I know there's iTunes Connect, but I've been trying to get on that today, and I don't know how to get
that. You don't need to deal with iTunes Connect or any of that crazy stuff. Go to anchor.fm. You make an account there, and then their platform is dope. because it will take your podcast and it shoots it out to iTunes Connect, to Spotify. It sends it like almost everywhere, and you don't have to do anything. You just have to like click a couple buttons in Anchor.
It'll put it on iTunes. I can do it through Anchor.
Yeah, it'll put it on iTunes for you. Just sign up for Anchor.
Cool.
What about are you able to download the Instagrams, or you're not sure how to do that yet?
So I do it on Zoom. I do it on Zoom, and then I download it from Zoom.
Oh, you have been doing it on Zoom.
Yeah, I've been doing that on Zoom.
Okay, great. Yeah, the best way is to do it on Zoom. Some people have been doing like these Instagram TV, Instagram lives, which are great, but then you have the extra step to like download it off of Instagram.
I actually started doing it on Instagram Live, and then I took it over to Zoom because after I saw you doing it the way you're doing it, like I like this model. After I found Zoom, it completely changed the whole way that I viewed the podcast game. Because I always thought I had to have a studio, but this way, like it's recording everything and it switches back and forth automatically, and it's one video. I like that. You know, it's so much easier. You don't really have to do much of anything.
Yeah, no, Zoom is a great platform.
Sorry for the echo, by the way.
And you can't live stream it into Instagram, but you can live stream it into Facebook. So that's what I'm doing right now. These videos automatically going into Facebook.
Hold on one second. I lost you for a second because I put the echo off, but I couldn't really hear you. No
worries. I was saying, Zoom's a great platform, and I like it because it automatically goes into Facebook.
Yeah. So I upgraded the Zoom actually, but I actually can't do the Facebook and the YouTube on the Chromebook. But it's all right. I'm actually, with this stimulus check, I'm gonna get a MacBook, and I'm just gonna I'm gonna get a Photoshop on there, and I'm gonna get all my old programs back. And I'm gonna really step on my content game to the next level. Even though I've already stepped up to the next level, I'm gonna take it to another next level.
Very cool. Yeah, well, you can still take the video and upload it. You can still upload it to YouTube and Facebook.
Yeah, 100%.
Or you can take your phone.
I've been editing
Another thing that I've done is like if I'm doing a podcast and I'm on someone else's Zoom, so I can't control it, I'll do an Instagram live from my phone. So I'll just do an Instagram live on my phone. I'll put my phone sort of next to my computer, and then at least the people in Instagram could like watch my interview.
Okay.
It's always like
to do, That's a good strategy too. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna take some of those strategies from Apple Kreider and what he was saying, and that was a really killer podcast. That one with Apple Kreider, he gave out a lot of really, really valuable information. So I have to rewatch that podcast actually.
Very cool. Okay, I think.
Yeah, thank you, bro. That was my question. I was just figuring out how to get to iTunes.
Yeah, if you have more questions, just let me know.
Yeah, okay, thank you, brother. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see if Hector comes in here. Hey, Hector, you're in Quarantine Radio.
Hey, how's it going, Anthony?
I'm good, my friend.
What's up, Hector?
How's that? Sorry I can't do video right now. Is audio okay?
No problem. No pressure. So yeah, what's your question?
Well, I am planning to start my podcast, but every time I have tried to do it, I feel self-conscious listening to not to myself, but like trying to find a flow with the energy level and finding a topic. And I feel, I don't know, I don't have a structure for it. So I was hoping perhaps when you do your podcast and perhaps you have a topic, what is your structure? How do you mind map what you're gonna say and move from point A to point B, from one topic to the other? I don't know if that's making sense to you.
No, yeah, it makes perfect sense. So, first of all, what's your show? Let's start there.
Well, I am a life coach, so I want to combine. I use neuro-linguistic programming. So pretty much, I empower people to break their limits, but I want to marry it to spirituality, to fuse it with spirituality. So I might talk about Ho'oponopono, which is a Hawaiian meditation technique. I might do meditation, breathing techniques while empowering people. So I want to.
Are you going to interview people, or is this just going to be like you starring in the podcast?
Well, in the beginning, I want to start solo, but eventually, yeah, I want to bring in experts and other people and kind of expand on that. I don't want to
Yeah,
keep it
you
only
you don't
spiritual.
have to you don't have to bring other people either. There's a lot of very successful podcasts. It's actually something that I've toyed with. I started my podcast as an interview show, but I have episodes like this where I don't. But yeah, you don't have to bring on guests. You can just do, you know what? It's freaking Boricua NLP show, and that's the show. There's no rules, I guess. And sometimes I think it's easier to build your brand that way because then people are following you for you. So it's sort of a double-edged sword. They'll follow you for you, but you don't get the benefit to bring on other influencers. So me, I used it because I got to collaborate with the influencer. They share with their audience, so I get a little bit of a rub off
Okay.
effect. But yeah, I think do a show. What if you did this? So this was the first idea that I had when you were sharing. Do you have like maybe previous clients or people that would want to get coaching but live?
Coaching live, yeah. If I can
Yeah.
get permission from them, I could do that. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I think that would be interesting. Maybe a show where it's usually you by yourself, and then when it's not you, it's you, and you bring on someone, you give them some coaching, and maybe you tell them, hey, listen, if there's something really bad that you don't want in the show, we can always cut it out later. But I think that could be very interesting. And then as far as like coming up with like a format, I think your original question was,
Yeah.
I wouldn't over obsess about it, but the 2 to the 3 things that you really need is a beginning, middle, and an end.
Yeah.
And really, if you do a beginning and an end, the middle will figure itself out. So,
Exactly. I figure, yeah.
Yeah. So, me, the way I start all my shows is what's up, Disrupt Nation. That's how I start my shows.
Okay.
Does your company have like a name?
Well, yeah, I'm working on the branding, but I'm actually on social media. I'm kind of starting it recently. It's Hector Saris, like my name, HECTOR, Saris, SARES.com. And it's Saris, Hector Saris, because that's the state, that's a name that means, Saris means a lot to me. And it puts me on the state, an empowered state to help other people. So that's my branding. Hector Saris is the state that I get into to help other people. And I'm kind of doing a little bit on Facebook and IG. So I'm starting, but I want to I know it will grow organically, but I want to put together the podcast and talk about my experience. And when I start, like I will start and my brain is like 1,000 miles an hour. So doing that switch to perhaps, the way that I use the voice, and the intonation. So it's tricky. If I do video though, is easier. Like if I did a video, like I can see myself, the dynamic is different. But when I just do audio, I just feel lost.
So you feel more comfortable with video than audio?
Yes, I found that recently. I was doing a video, kind of doing like a test, and I need to work on looking into the camera. That is something when I'm looking into. I know that so work is baby steps, but I felt that the energy and the message was getting across.
So you can always create video content.
Okay.
Take the audio, turn that into your podcast. Right.
Yeah.
I actually recommend that. So
I know. I was hearing
what video and then just remove your audio and boop, and then you have a podcast.
And I was hearing what you were talking. I think the previous guest was Brian, the one that was right now, and how he was doing Zoom and doing it into audio. I believe he was doing. So yeah. I didn't know it was an option. So I was like, interesting.
Yeah, Zoom automatically gives you an audio and a video track, just automatically when you download it. So you can just grab the audio track, boop, that's your podcast. As far as starting the show, you want to address your audience. So I say, what's up, Disrupt Nation? And I call my audience disruptors.
Okay.
So I've seen other people that they call their audience creators.
Yeah.
So what are you going to call your audience? Come up with these kind of themes, these games. And start your show that way. So you were talking about empowerment. Hey, you know what? This is the show. And then you can also set the intention for your show. I don't do that. I probably should. You can set the intention for your shows. So this show is for people that want to become empowered and maybe this is another good thing, which again, I don't take my advice. Take my advice, I'm not using it. Limit the length of the show. Short shows can go viral quickly. I have friends that have a 3-minute podcast, a 5-minute podcast, and it's great because it's like, hey, listen, I'm gonna give you freaking 5 minutes of empowerment, 10 minutes of empowerment every day. And this is the show for people that want to get 5 minutes of empowerment every day to start their day. You start a daily 5-minute podcast, you're going to build a crazy following because they're going to be every day. You know what? I don't need to spend an hour, 5 minutes. Whoop, I put it in, I listen to Hector and I get empowerment, so you could set the intention. Hey, listen, welcome to the Hector show. This is all about empowerment. We empower people in 5 minutes or less, and you could break your own rule. You could say 5 minutes and the shows are 7 minutes.
Yeah,
as long as it's around there,
No, but I like that. You're giving me like good bits, and also it'll be easier to manage if I do 5 minutes as opposed to an hour. So it's really, I can do a few shows and have a buffer of shows also, and then kind
do
of
them all on Sunday and schedule them to go out once a. Yep.
Exactly. Oh wow, yeah, that's good. That's good. Actually, I like that idea.
Yeah, and then to end it, on my interview show, I always ask people. I have 2 questions that I ask everybody. What does disrupt mean to you? So I'm using my word and I'm getting them all to say disrupt, which is great for content because then I can take all these people that say disrupt means this, disrupt means that, and I can do stuff with that. So if you're doing an interview show, I would definitely end it with one of those questions. Make them say the name of your show. Empowerment. Hey, what does empowerment mean to you? And let them write off of that. Then the second question that I always ask them is, or I try to, is if you were 18 years old, you had no money, no resources, and you lived in Puerto Rico and all you had was Wi-Fi and a dream, what would you give yourself as advice? Because my audience in my mind is like people in Puerto Rico that want to start a business or something. So I'm making them the guest, even if they're not thinking about that, I'm making them give advice based on that. So it creates a certain amount of content. So I have certain questions that I do ask. I don't just ask the same questions to everybody though. Besides those 2 questions, I go in the flow. I kind of dance in the conversation. If you're gonna do this idea of the 5-minute podcast, which I think you should, I don't suggest that it should be an interview because it's hard to get that much out of an interview. What I think you should do though is maybe have one word or one idea that the show is based around. So, hey, it's the Empowerment Podcast, and today is about leadership. And then, but I would see it as like maybe simpler titles. And then as to close, maybe you can say, what does disrupt mean to you? Maybe you could give your audience a question and your audience something to do.
Oh, I like that. I could use a question as a call to action.
As a call to action, yeah. Make sure you empower yourself today. Make sure you stand in from a place of leadership. Make sure so you could have the call to action at the end, making them do something. And then always give them a call to action of a physical place. Hey, follow me on Instagram, follow me here so that you can stay in tune, X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's actually pretty good. Actually, I like that. Thank you.
That's it. We got the podcast. Let me know when it's
done.
We
got it, man. We got it. I'm excited, and I have used. I have been a guest in a podcast through Anchor, so I have Anchor, so I know it's powerful, and I know it can connect to Spotify and other venues, So I know that's the one that I'm gonna. Well, I guess through Zoom.
Anchor. And I was just gonna mention that Anchor has an app on your phone. You can record it right on Anchor. You don't even need Zoom. I mean, I like Zoom because it has other features, but.
No, but I think if I to try, I guess because the whole looking like when I do the video, I guess it flows better for me. I guess I could try Zoom and then do the audio, and hopefully I should be able to use that audio through Anchor. Hopefully.
Absolutely.
I hope. If not, I'll figure it out. I'm really tech savvy, so. But thank you. I really appreciate your golden nuggets of knowledge.
Absolutely, Hector. Let me know when the podcast is out so that we can all share it.
Will do. Thanks, man.
All right. See you soon. Santiago says, I agree with you that posting on all social media channels can be overwhelming. And your suggestion that we need to focus on 2 or 3, dig down. Yeah, absolutely. And focus on maybe the one main one, like really focus on one main one. And then what are the other 2 or 3 that kind of support it, right? So for me, my main one is Instagram, but I focus not only just Instagram, I focus on video content. And then that video content, I know I can go to Facebook, I know I can go to YouTube. So really my main platform is video as a platform. And then I take that video content and I share it out to all the other platforms. And Santiago. Hey, Santiago, how are you, my friend? Welcome to Disrupt Radio. Thank you for tuning in.
Bro, what's up? Listen,
Good, brother.
I am so pleased. When I think back to when we first met about 6 months ago in that little cafe, to have that disrupt conversation, and you said to me, Santiago, if you want to connect with entrepreneurs in Puerto Rico, you got to come to Disrupt Puerto Rico. Since then, you're right. I met a lot of people, but one of the bright stories in all of that was my meeting Brian, because Brian I saw as a young mentor, and he had a lot of ideas, and I said, if he's got the right mentorship, man, he's going to do something with it. And here he is coming on your show. And I got the podcast going. I'm doing sales. I'm doing all these various things. It's a positive influence, bro. And your impact, little by little, one person at a time, is creating a wave, bringing other people to Puerto Rico. I'm in Pennsylvania, but I'm putting the word out about what you're doing. I think it's a wonderful thing. And when I see someone like a young guy, and I'm sure you've seen it before, but I'm impressed with what I'm seeing, and I'm thankful for that. And I just had to share those comments. And when you're ready to do the next Disrupt, let me know, because I definitely want to participate, and I'll put the word out I already tell people about going to Disrupt. And that's what I have to say. I just wanted to share those comments, bro. Thank you for the good work, the hard work you're doing.
Thank you, my friend. I really appreciate it. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. We've had so many people move to Puerto Rico, and there's so many that I don't know. I don't even know that they're here because of me. At the last Disrupt that you were at, we brought that guy on stage. I just brought him on stage randomly. That wasn't planned. He came to the Disrupt event. He's like, hey, man, remember me from last year? I moved here now. And there were 3 people that came back a year later, and they were like, yeah, well, we live here now because we went to the first one. So it's crazy, man, and I'm happy and honored to be able to do it.
Oh, that's what I wanted to share. I didn't have any other questions. All your words of advice are solid. It comes from experience, I could tell. And even though you're younger than me, you're my mentor.
Absolutely, man. Mentors come in all shapes and sizes, and I've learned a lot from you, and I'm really grateful for you as well. And I'm looking forward to keeping up the conversation. And yeah, just at you and anybody else who's on the call, just share it. Share this content with people. Just get the word out.
Yeah. Okay, brother. Thank you very much.
All right. I'll see you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
All right. Awesome, guys. Well, we are at an hour. We're a little bit into overtime. Thank you guys again. I will see everyone tomorrow. And if you have any questions, just shoot me a message on WhatsApp. I also put the link. I saw a couple people put their email in the chat. That's not what I meant. I put the link in the WhatsApp. And if you want, grab your email address and just click the link in WhatsApp and put your email in there, and I'll send you that free guide. But awesome, guys. I love you. Have a great evening. Have a safe quarantine, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.